Welcome to episode 78 of the Valley Sports Talk podcast. Today, we're going to be going through we're going to have some news about every single four major sport in North America, being MLB, NBA, NHL, and NFL. So it should be a very different, no, not different, but kind of the same podcast.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the dog days of summer are basically done now. We got the Hall of Fame game going on, um, NHL and NBA. Like I see a lot of videos of NHL players getting back on the ice. I see a lot of NBA players doing some shoot arounds and the MLB's they're right in the thick of things going for a playoff push. So it's we're almost back into sports. We're getting there. Um, So yeah, we got a little bit of news since our last podcast. Um, the MLB trade deadline passed. Not much happened. Um, it was pretty quiet. The one surprising thing is for the Mets, who at the beginning of the season were
the Mets
were
have the
up,
highest payroll.
yeah, and they were up there in World Series favorites. Traded both their star pitchers, Verlander back to the Astros, and Scherzer to the Texans, or sorry, the Rangers. Um,
Wrong
for division rivals. It would be
wrong
cool to see
Texas team.
them. Pardon?
Said the wrong Texas team. The
I know,
Tex.
I know. Too many sports on the agenda today. But
Yeah.
it'd be kind of cool. Imagine like a Houston Texas matchup where they were pitching against each other.
That would be pretty cool. Imagine that happens in the playoffs because like both those
That's
teams
what
are
I
in the
mean.
playoffs right now. So that'd be they'd literally would go from teammates to going against each to they literally went from teammates to division rivals.
As a Blue Jays fan, how happy are you? Obviously, there's still tons of time left in the season, but how happy are you that chances are there won't be a New York team in the playoffs this year?
I definitely think it's good. I was talking to my dad last night how I was like we were watching the Jays game and the Yankees highlights came on of them losing to the Rays and I'm like, oh my God, this makes me so happy to see the Yankees in dead last. It's just I don't know. For a team as good as the Yankees, they've just been so good for so long. And I know they still have Judge and he's been hurt, and such, but it's just great to see. Sorry, New York
Yeah, no,
fans.
you're not wrong. Yeah, no, the Jays, speaking of them, they had a crazy game last night. We're recording this on Thursday. They beat the Orioles 4-1 last night.
Four to
They
one on three
scored,
hits.
yeah, they scored 4-1. They scored 3 runs in the sixth inning. They brought 8 men to the plate without a base hit, which is ridiculous. They had, I think, 3 walks, an error, uh,
Two batters
two
plunked.
hits. So yeah, it was quite the inning. Um, really didn't deserve to win that. Kikuchi pitched great. All the relievers pitched pretty good too.
And then you
Um,
end the game on a pickoff play.
yeah, I know. Like that confused me too. Like you're down by 3. Your run doesn't matter. What are you doing that for? I don't know why he was so far off first base. But anyway, doesn't really matter. But I don't know about you, but I'm looking at the standings and in a Blue Jays perspective, it kind of sucks, but they're like 6 games out of first place in the AL. If they're not going to come in the AL East, sorry, if they're not going to come first place in the AL
I'm fine with
East,
them saying six.
that's what I was going to say. Because right now, the
They play
way
the
the
Twins.
playoffs
They play
were
the
to
Twins.
work, they would play the Twins, who Toronto is like 3 games better than. Where if you're first or second in the wild card, that's a Tampa Houston matchup, which
Yeah,
is
or
I don't want to
Baltimore,
play either
Houston,
of those
whichever.
teams.
Texas, Houston, yeah, whoever.
So kind of either win the division or be the last team to get in, you know?
Yeah, I would not mind, but obviously, the Angels went for it, getting obviously keeping Otani and picking up some not big players, but like nice role players. They got CJ Crone, who's a big bat. Randall Grichuk, Blue Jays legend. They made a
Who's
couple
that
of quick
pitcher?
trades. They got
Grandal?
what?
Who's the pitcher? Is it Grandal?
No,
Like
Giolito.
Giolito, sorry.
You got Giolito, who was
Yeah.
good against Toronto in his Angels debut, but then he was
Yeah, he
terrible
pitched
last
well.
night. He got absolutely shelled last night.
Yeah,
But
he
yeah,
got
I,
hit for
I
like
don't
10.
think I don't think that Angels team is good enough to push and make the playoffs. Boston's hanging around. They've been hot as of late. you just gotta, there's a lot of teams, even in the West, there's so many teams fighting for like wild card spots. It's kind of crazy. I don't think I've ever seen
The
baseball this, like, since becoming like an actual like guy to watch baseball like every day, like sit down and watch a Jays game in the evening after work. Like, I don't think I've ever seen baseball this competitive before, where like you can't already pick out the people who are going to be in the wild card team because there's so many teams fighting for like the three wild card spots.
Yeah, I think that's just what happens when you add an extra playoff spot in the pitcher, right? They used to only had two wild cards for the longest
Yeah.
time, and adding three. And like you said, the wild card race is insane for the West. But um, do you think um the Angels made a mistake not trading Otani? Because if he leaves in the
He's gonna
offseason,
leave. That's the thing. Unless they make the only way he doesn't leave is if they make the playoffs, and I don't see them pushing the into the playoffs.
me
They
neither.
just, I don't
That's what I'm
think they.
saying though. So if he leaves, you lost him for nothing.
Yeah, 100%. And like I just said, I personally do not see him leaving unless somehow Mike Trout
You
convinced him
don't
to
see him
stay.
staying. Sorry.
I don't see him staying unless they make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, fair enough. I'm the same way. I think you should have traded him. Although it's best you don't see the best player in a sport get traded too often. But I mean, I guess you do. Wayne Gretzky got traded a lot. LeBron James has moved
Ron's never been
around.
traded. He's
No,
just
but he's
left.
moved. Yeah, I guess that's true. He's
Speaking
been
of Blue
moved, not
Jays, they play
traded.
in 15 minutes.
The Blue Jays do play in 15 minutes. Kevin Gausman's on the pitch today.
So
Um,
quickly wrap before we wrap up our little MLB talk. How would you up to the obviously we just had the trade deadline, so we're right at the halfway point. First, I want you to grade the Blue Jays first half of the season, since we're Blue Jays fans. And then I also want you to grade their trade deadline and what they need to do going forward.
you know what? The first half, well, I guess two-thirds of the season, I would I honestly would give them like a B. They've been super inconsistent. They haven't been able to go on long winning streaks, which is why I think they're like 10 games over 500, but they haven't been able to get more than that. Um, their pitching's been great. Their bullpen's been a lot better than I expected. They're 10th in the MLB right now in ERA. The bullpen's been great, and they added to that in the deadline. So I was really happy with that with Jordan Hicks and they had someone else. Who else? Was it
Jordan
just
Hicks,
Jordan
Genesis
Hicks?
Cabrera, and then Paul DeYoung.
Cabrera, yes. Um, and then yeah, I mean the other trade, bringing DeYoung for basically a Bo Bichette placement. It was okay. Um, I think that shows that they didn't have trust in Santiago Espinal because he can play shortstop just fine. Um, so yeah, the trade deadline filled things they needed. I hope Bo comes back quick. He's on the 10-day IL. Hopefully that's it. What they need to do is I think they just need to play to the big parts of the field. I feel like you saw Springer get his first hit and he was like 1 for 35 now.
He he
Um,
he tied a Blue Jays record
yeah.
for least most amount of at bats, like not getting on base in a row.
Yeah, and if you were looking at his at bats, like he had a lot of good pitch. Been having a lot of good pitches to hit, but it seems like he's trying to kill the ball. I think Bo Bichette's been having an insane season because he's not trying to kill anything. He's just constantly getting up there. His average is over 300. And same with Vladdy. Vladdy's been a 300 hitter, or close to low high 200s in his career. And this year he's down to like 260. Um, and I think that's because he's been trying to hit bombs. You look at his at bats, like even last game, he had like a 9 pitch at bat or something, and three of those pitches, Vladdy last year is putting over the fence. I think he's swinging too hard and too quick, and he's not playing to the big parts of the field where I think he's ahead of himself a little bit, which is causing him to foul them off a lot. But because of that, I think a lot of their bats have been pretty cold. Where if they heat up, like they're a 10 game above 500 team with pretty cold bats, in my opinion. If they can wake up, they're going to be super dangerous. So I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to the next half.
I definitely agree. I just think if their pitching stays the way it's been, like their bullpen in years past has been one of the big parts where everybody's like, "Oh my God, the bullpen sucks." They come in and blow leads, but now they actually, in my opinion, have a pretty elite bullpen. Just the depth in there is pretty insane. But yeah, if their pitching stays good and their bats can get hot, then this is a scary team. They have the talent. They just have to put it all together, which is the one thing I don't think they've been able to do in the first half is put all their eggs in a basket and put it together.
For sure. And I guess we didn't mention it, but it wasn't via trade or anything, but they acquired basically Hyun-Jin Ryu. They haven't had him for basically 2 years, and that's an addition they made too. And he looked all right. Obviously, it was
Yeah,
going to be a
yeah,
little
he had a rough
shaky, but he
rough
looked pretty good.
first inning, but then he sort of settled in.
Yeah, I totally agree. Um, Next, quickly, just the NFL. We have the Hall of Fame game. We'll be at baseball, so we won't be really watching it, but it's although it really doesn't matter, it is kind of cool to see that that football started. We got the Jets and the Browns. I don't think we'll see any Aaron Rodgers. We won't see any starters.
No, it's been
I don't even
yeah,
think,
it's been announced that Zach Wilson and Kellen Mond are going to be the two starting quarterbacks.
which I think the only reason this game's kind of interesting is Zach Wilson. Like, how can he was the starter. He was drafted to be a starter and a long time starter for this team, and it hasn't really worked out for him. And he did say once if they were to get Aaron Rodgers, he would make his life hell in practice. So we'll see if his words can match up to his play here for sure. What do you think? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I have I have seen that Zach Wilson has looked pretty good in training camp. So I think that also just showing off tonight, I don't, can show off maybe his potential trade value. He was a number two overall pick. He d does definitely still have the talent. He just hasn't been able to figure it out. So maybe, like I said, I don't know. I don't think he gets traded. I honestly think it'd be beneficiary for him to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year or two.
I agree.
That's all Aaron Rodgers has on his contract is 2 years. Um, so I think if honestly if he can sit behind Aaron Rodgers for 2 years, I think that would totally help his career out because he's sitting behind a Hall of Fame, a Super Bowl champ, a two-time MVP. It would totally help his career out.
Speaking about Aaron Rodgers, and the 2 years, what do you think about the contract reconstruction he did? Kind of selfless, to be honest, to add the possibility of like a Dalvin Cook or a future player down the trade deadline.
Yeah, I did notice he put a 25 mil on the line. It just kind of reminds me of it's a completely different sport, but like the quote that from Sidney Crosby from a couple of years ago, and like whenever he was interviewed by Spit and Chicklets, everybody's got to buy in. I think Aaron Rodgers is buying in on this team. He's given up money, his own. He's given up 25 mil, and 25 mil is
Yeah,
a pretty significant amount of money, obviously. So yeah, he's giving up 25 mil just to give the Jets that much cap space, like you say, to bring in a Dalvin Cook. Maybe for some reason Zeke Elliott's a flyer that they pick up. People like that try to make this team even better than it already is. Because obviously they're in win now mode. Aaron Rodgers isn't getting any younger, and he's not getting any better anytime soon. He's sort of just not gonna plateau out where he is, but he's definitely not gonna get any better at the age of 38. So yeah, definitely selfless, and he's definitely buying into the Jets.
yeah. I wonder if that's kind of hitting him because he never really did anything like that in Green Bay. He never took ridiculous deals, but he never took pay cuts like that. He was always fairly paid in Green Bay, and they obviously didn't have much playoff success. They always had good regular season success, but the playoffs didn't really go their way. And I wonder if obviously he's won one Super Bowl, but winning two in the terms of legacy is huge over one. Um, and I wonder if that's kind of hitting him a little bit, knowing he's only got a couple more years and he's got the team for it this year. And if they took like 25 mil, like you said, spread across 2 years, you can sign uh one of these good running backs still, or in my opinion, they got good running backs. You can wait till free trade deadline and get someone really. I've heard like Devonte Adams at the trade deadline rumors,
I've heard that too.
which would be insane, but it would be pretty cool. But yeah, so that's football. Exciting that we got football back. I mean, it just means a couple weeks closer to fantasy football starting and the regular season. Obviously, the regular season starts September 7th, so just over a month to go, and we're back into the action. Um, Moving on to NHL, third sport we got here. Boston Bruins Patrice Bergeron finally calls her quits. I was listening to the Spin Chicklets podcast today where they interviewed uh Lucic.
Yes,
Obviously,
I haven't
the
listened
interview
to it, but I saw that.
I won't spoil any of it because it's not that important. Lucic, it was recorded before he knew Bergeron was retiring, so they didn't get into it. But um, they had the discussion on where does Patrice Bergeron rank in Bruins history, and I wasn't even thinking about that when he retired because Boston's been a franchise for so long. They're but he's arguably the second best Bruin of all time behind Bobby Orr.
100%. There's no question about it. Bobby Orr's won. I think a guy like Chara has to be up there.
Yep,
I know
for
he started
sure.
his career in Ottawa and he didn't end his career in Boston, but he was the captain for so long. Um, but yeah, there's got to be a couple other guys I'm forgetting of.
Bork.
Marchand's definitely gonna be up there. Ray Bork, you make a good one there. But yeah, I think there's an argument to be made that he is definitely the second best Bruin of all time.
Yeah, they were having this argument, and like you said, Marchand, Chara, Bork. There's a couple other old timers they were talking about in the Spin Chicklets podcast, but a point they made that is like super underrated is he was the only guy in that whole scenario other than Marchand, I guess, to this point, who spent his entire career in Boston. It was a 20-year career, 19 as a Bruin, one in the AHL, but he stuck around the entire time. He's a Bruin through and through. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets into coaching. Probably not yet. He retired because he said he wants to spend time with the family. But I could see in 4 years him getting to coaching. He's a super well liked person, as you can see by Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins doing something really cool, giving a retirement kind of post to Patrice Bergeron. You don't see opposing teams do that very often, which speaks to the player Bergeron was.
Not only
Not
player, just
only
his character. I think it shows his character too.
That's what I mean. Not only a great player, but an awesome person. Um, you and me are agreeance into this where we think the Selke will be changed.
Eventually,
So the Patrice Bergeron, I don't think it'll be too long until that happens. I personally think he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer, as I'm
without a
pretty
doubt.
sure 99% of people think.
Without a doubt.
And great career. One Stanley Cup. Definitely probably would have thought a little bit more with the great Bruin teams they had, but he got one and great career.
Yeah,
Great
you summed
career.
it up. I don't really have much to add in.
Jeez. Okay. Well, that's terrible of you. You
My
just don't
bad.
like Patrice Bergeron. It's okay.
No, you're the one that would hate him more. You're a Leafs fan.
No, I know, but I respect him. Like we were saying before, like I can't stand Brad Marchand. I love him on my team, but I can't stand him. Um, Patrice Bergeron, every time we played him, like you say, he's just a good person. It's hard to root against him, you know? He's a pretty good person. Um, Not much in the NBA has happened, but we talked about the other three sports, so I wanted to talk about this one. So instead of talking about it, I wanted to quiz Noah, give him a
I
little NBA quiz.
I had to, I didn't. I can't lie. I did not watch very. I think maybe watched. I could count on two hands how many NBA games I watched fully this year.
Well, that's why I gave you a quiz that I think is pretty gettable.
Okay.
Um, it's more just a refresher to get us back in. It's a pretty easy quiz in my opinion. Um, I
Um,
don't know if you get all
I'll take that as a
10, but I think
challenge.
you, yeah, now I might be synchroning you because it might be difficult, but I'm gonna just so we don't have a lot of pauses here, I'm just gonna give you three strikes. There's 10 players on this list. You have to try and name all 10.
Oh,
You get
geez.
three strikes, okay?
Okay.
This is among active NBA players.
Mm-hmm.
You have to name the top 10 active players with a minimum of, I think it's 50 games or 500 games, minimum 500 games in their career. Top 10 active players in winning percentage.
Oh, jeez.
I think
Okay.
you can do pretty good here.
Minimum 500 games.
Minimum 500 games.
Okay, Curry's got to be up there.
Curry is number 6.
Okay, wow. Oh, I want to go the easy one and say LeBron.
LeBron is number 8.
Okay, I knew he wasn't going to be completely high. Um, Kawhi has got to be up there. He hasn't been on very many losing teams.
Kawhi's number one,
Yeah, that doesn't shock me.
736.
That doesn't
He's
shock me.
he's winning three-quarters of his games.
So I have 1, 6, and 8.
1, 6, and 8, no strikes. Look at you go.
Been good the last bit. Who's been a good team the last couple? Hmm. I want to say Kyle Lowry.
Lowry's not up here.
Damn, I thought he might be up
Did
there.
have some bad Toronto years.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint. The 10th guy on this list has a 634 win percentage. So they got to win at least basically almost two-thirds of their games.
Okay. Jeez, this is hard.
I will give you a hint. You have two players on this list that were on the Toronto Ring team that are not Kawhi.
Danny Green there?
Danny Green's number two, 707. That's crazy, eh?
Who else is on the ring team? Marcus Saul?
Marcus Saul's not up here. No.
I have one other guess from the ring
You're
team, but I don't want.
thinking right position though.
Yeah, my other guess was Serge. Is Serge on there?
Serge is number five. Yep.
Okay. So what do I have? I have one,
Played on
two.
those good OKC teams as well.
I have 1, 2, 5.
So you're missing three, four. You're missing 3, 4, 7, 9, and
Is
10.
is Harden on there?
Harden's number seven.
Okay, so I'm still missing number three. Number three and
You're missing 3, 4, 9, 10.
okay, this one might give me a straight, but is Chris Paul on there?
Chris Paul's number nine.
Okay.
Three more.
I still
Two of
I
these are
can't believe
super
so
gettable. The other ones,
3 and 4.
3 and 4 on the same team, and they're on a team of someone you've already named. Is that a big hint?
No. Same team currently?
Somebody you've named already.
Same team
Yeah,
currently?
yeah, yeah.
Jeez.
Both these players have been on the same team their entire career. Actually, all three of them. The one you listed previously was on this team his entire career as well.
Oh, no, that's not right. I was gonna say someone. I realized that's not real. That's not right.
You never know.
No, it's not right because he's changed teams. Same team, and they're both currently on it.
Yep, definitely gettable. And then the 10th guy, older guy, has moved around a ton. I don't know if you'll get the 10th guy.
I don't even know if I'm gonna get 3 and 4.
You should. Somebody you've already named on this list. His
Oh,
partner is
Clay
with
and
these
Draymond.
two. Clay and Draymond. Clay's three, Draymond's four.
That was stupid.
I don't know if you get. I don't think you'll ever get 10, to be
So
honest.
he's older and he's moved around a lot.
I don't even know if he's on a roster right now, but he hasn't retired. I'm gonna search him up right now, see where he's played. Because he's played all over the place. I think most recently he has played on the Indiana Pacers.
Oh,
I
geez.
could be wrong. I'm just saying where I remember him. Okay, so I'll give you his career and we'll see if you can guess this, okay? Because this is a hard one. He was first round pick, 26th overall, 2008. He spent 2008 to 2011 with the Spurs, 11 to 16 with the Pacers, which are his best years and what I remember him as. Then he went to the Jazz for a year, the Kings for a year, the Cavs for a year, the Bucks for 2 years, OKC for a year, Philly for a year, back to Milwaukee, and then last year played for the Pacers again. I remember him from 11 to 16 with the Pacers.
Oh,
He's
oh,
played all over the
oh.
place.
Okay, say it again. Say his career again.
San Antonio, Pacers, Jazz, Kings, Cavs, Bucks, Thunder, 76ers, Bucks, Pacers.
I had someone, but I don't remember him playing for one of the. I don't remember him playing for OKC.
Well, if you remember him playing for all the other teams, he's probably right. He spent he spent he
Is
was
this guy?
on in this year, the year he played for the 76ers or the Thunder, he also played for the 76ers and the Bucks that year. So he moved three different teams that year. Might not be why that might be why you don't remember him. When the Raptors played the Bucks in the playoffs last, he was on the team. I remember him.
Yeah, the guy in my head is George Hill.
George Hill's the correct answer.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
So the what gave it away is whenever you said you remember him in in the Pacers, and then I don't remember him being in OKC. That's what was throwing me
me
off.
neither.
I
Me
remember
neither.
him getting. I know he got drafted by San Antonio, and I knew every other team he played for, but the OKC was throwing me off.
I want to see
I didn't know he was back in Indiana this year, to be honest with you.
I want to see how many games he played for OKC. Uh he played 14 games for OKC.
I don't remember that.
No, me neither.
Good for him.
He averaged 27 minutes a night.
He's been on winning teams.
Yeah, well, San Antonio was good when obviously has always been good. Indiana was good those couple of years. He went to Cleveland with LeBron,
Yes, I
and
remember.
then he spent 4 years in Milwaukee with Giannis. 14 games in OKC won't ruin your win loss that much. And 2021 he spent with Philly, so another good team.
Yep, that
Moved
makes
around a
sense.
lot though.
I'm proud of myself for getting that.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, see, I told you it was gettable just to bring you back into the NBA a little bit, swing of
Yeah,
things.
for sure.
It's proud of you.
You got anything else or
I guess the only major sport we haven't talked about is soccer. So tell
yeah.
us about your soccer game last night.
Oh yeah, we won 4-0.
I
Playoff
heard
game. Who told you that?
Blake.
You see him at the gym?
Mhm.
Yeah, we won 4-0. So now we play in on the 14th in the semis against the first place team who we beat both times we played them in the regular season. Blake was absolutely pumped last night.
He said he was.
Oh, he was
Well,
friggin'
he said those guys are like your biggest rivals.
so I joined the team this year, and from what I understood is this is the first time they've beaten that team that we played in 6 years.
Yeah, so that's huge.
So yeah, because
That's huge.
we lost them our first game of the year earlier in the season, and then we tied them we draw for all you soccer people. We drew them the second game.
And then Blake said that you're playing the first place team in the semis.
Correct.
You've beaten them both times, but Blake said one of the games didn't count because
Yeah, so
they
one
bogus you a little
sorry.
bit of bogus. They gave you a little bit of bogus.
I would definitely say it was definitely a little bit of bogus. They sort of were telling us a rule that wasn't true because all of our guys went and sort of looked at the fine print after the game after we realized or we figured out that it was going to be a forfeit loss. Basically, we didn't have um we didn't have our updated game sheets printed out, and we had a guy that joined our team late, like registered late, but he was registered, paid. He had like a registration number, like you get a registration number when you sign up for like any other sport, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but he wasn't on our game sheet, and but he was registered and everything. So in the league, they say you're not allowed to write in, like you can't like write with pen in a player. So we just put him down underneath another player. So technically, what we're doing was against the rules. Like he was sort of playing as a different player. But then they were telling us that we couldn't write in a player whenever that's not actually a rule. So it kind of like
Yeah.
doubles down if you know what I mean. So then
And
we
you
end
ended
up
up beating them 5-1, right?
but then since we got forfeited by the league, it was actually a 2-0 loss.
Yeah. So
It
I
all
mean,
worked.
is one player really change if
No,
you're
because
beating a
he was
team
on for 10
5-1 in
minutes.
soccer, is that one
He
player
only
really
played
changing
that
the
game for
outcome
10
or no?
minutes. That game that he didn't have any sort of impact on that game whatsoever.
And if you look at the standings, you guys finished fourth?
We finished fourth, and second and third both had 15 points. We had 14. With that
Yeah,
forfeit, we would have won. We would have finished second, and we would have had a
that
bye.
was my point. That was
Yeah.
my point. So you guys kind of got screwed by the league a little bit, which kind of sucks in the moment, but right now, going into the semis, playing the first place team, a team you've beat twice technically, but on the scorecard you're 1-1.
In
Should
our
put a little bit
brain,
of
we beat them twice. In our mind, we beat them twice.
that should put a little fire under the booties. You'd
It already
think.
has. Like
That's what I mean.
we played them the one time and we beat them 2-1. That's whenever I was playing net. I was playing nets. Like usually I don't play nets on this team. I've been playing out but our normal goalie was gone and I'm the backup, so I was playing nets. And yeah, we were pretty hyped then. And since that forfeit loss, we haven't lost a game since.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Last soccer thing I wanted to mention because I heard it and I thought it was pretty funny. You got a young guy on your team,
Oh
scores
yeah.
his first goal of the season and does the suey.
He did the Sue and it was a very like he was like sprinting whenever he went to jump. So like he jumped and he did the suit and he kind of like stumbled a bit and almost fell. But yeah,
And he scored. Go
he
ahead.
buzzing. He was on such an adrenaline high after that goal. He came off and he was like lying down on the grass. He had to like catch his breath because he was on such an adrenaline high. It's like
And he
he like during the regular season he didn't get much minutes, but then
yeah.
he was a striker sub, and like usually Alex and Blake only come off for like close to like 5 minutes at a time. So like he gets on for like 5 to 10 minutes each half. But he made the most of it last night, and yeah, so he had so much adrenaline high going after that goal. And there's the guy that passed it to him. He said it was the first time ever that his own teammate has came up and thanked him for an assist.
That's
The
awesome.
kid who he's 17 on our team, he came up and he said thank you to the guy that like passed him the ball.
And for some context, he didn't score to make it 1-0. That was the 4-0 goal, right?
Yeah, that was four. He suied after the 4-0 goal.
Definitely wasn't needed, but that's a good
No,
moment.
no,
Cool
but
moment.
good on the guy. Good on him.
Yeah, fair enough. Got to get your first. Got to sell you
Yeah.
when you get
So
your
yeah,
first, no matter the score.
we have our semis in about a week and a half.
Well, good luck to you. And there we've talked about all five sports. So whatever sport you're a fan of, you can't get mad at us for this one.
No, you can't. But yeah, with that, me and Brandon have a big long weekend coming. Um, yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Should be
yes,
fun.
it'll be
All our
fun.
roommates are coming down.
So yeah, but with that, I think we'll end it there. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe to never miss a weekly episode, and we will be back next week.
See ya.